Hey everybody, this is Dawn Rasmussen from Pathfinder Writing and Career Services. So we're doing a career hangout today with Steve Levy, who's the head of global recruiting at Kaltura, and he has some interesting friends with him right now. Steve, you want to say hi?
Quack, quack. Hi,
Okay,
it's
I can go
Steve.
with the Ducks because I'm with Oregon. Yeah, I love the Oregon Ducks. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, the nice thing about the Oregon Ducks is, in the yearbook picture, they have photos front and side view, so we like them a lot.
Yeah. Well, Steve is one of the unfettered minds of recruiting here, and he'll just pretty much say what's on his mind, which I really appreciate. But, we get a lot of, at least I work with a lot of candidates that are out there looking for jobs, and they get a little frustrated because they get a lot of conflicting advice out there. And so I thought it'd be kind of fun to get a recruiter in here that will just pretty much say it the way it is, and really kind of give you some insights about what they're thinking on their side of the table. So, Steve, do you want to just kind of start off and maybe think about what you think about a moving target? As a lot of times job seekers are really frustrated. They get competing advice from different hiring managers and recruiters and things like that. So, what's the job seeker to do?
Well, I think it's important to first note that there's no shortage of frustration everywhere. Everyone is, I went to spoke at SourceCon, a conference a couple of weeks back in Denver, and the folks on the recruiting side are frustrated that they can't, find the right candidate, or they'll throw some crap that no, there's a talent shortage, or they're even worse. They'll say it's a war for talent, and these are people who've never put on anything camouflage. They wouldn't know what a war looked like if their lives depended on it. But generally speaking, it's the employment market is just a confluence of several just really bad rivers. And
What do you mean by that?
well, it's like and I'll start on the company side, because it's important. Somebody has to take responsibility, and I think the job, the whole concept, the job description, is something that is it's like a family heirloom. It's really like a crappy family watch that's been passed down from generation to generation.
The job description is.
Yeah, job descriptions, and a lot of these job description and recruiting practices, it tells time, but when you open it up, you're not going to be looking at a Patek Philippe. You're probably going to be looking at a Paul something or other. I don't even know, and
So you're saying that job descriptions are bad?
I say most job descriptions are heinous. I'm not even.
Why is that? Let's be specific. You like no fluff, so let's.
I like no fluff. The best example is if you go to any company webpage, or most jobs that are listed on LinkedIn or any of the aggregators, Indeed or job boards, what have you. I mean, the theme, there's a theme that's followed. Firstly, we are a leading company. We're the leading this. We're the leading that. That in and of itself is BS, and there are reasons behind that. But then they go into literally, just way too much space describing how great the company is.
Mm-hmm. So the companies spend too much time promoting themselves versus asking what they need.
Well, the other side of it is they're not being honest.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not. That's marketing. That's marketing fluff. That's the ad you see. That's the lure that gets you into the store. Mm-hmm. We're great. We have foosball table. Yeah. We've had a couple of executives indicted. We won't talk about that. We're not really the leading. We're actually number 18, but leading sounds better. And it just goes on. It's the same crap that gets perpetuated. And then they start describing the job, and in most every case, the first line of the job tells you what the job title is going to do. As an example, if you're looking for a software developer, the first line says you're going to code. Well, gee, thank you for explaining to me that a software developer is going to code, or an accountant is going to account, or a customer service is going to serve.
So it sounds like there's a hidden job description that they're saying one thing, but there's really something else that they're looking for.
It's not that it's and folks, job seekers need to know this. It's not that there's a hidden job description. It's just that the job description in and of itself is not really a recruiting document. It's a compensation document.
It's a what?
It's called a compensation document.
Okay.
It's how companies grade a job. By grading a job means is depending on how much meat it has, and its responsibilities, a level in the organization, its deliverables. You can use compensation surveys, amongst other things, to create a range for the salary.
Okay, so if I'm a job seeker,
yeah.
And so you're telling me that this is kind of like a smoke screen to a certain degree. So
it's not a smoke screen at all. And here's how it gets to the job seeker. What's missing from all these job descriptions, and this is where it really confuses the job seeker, is it doesn't tell you the problems you're going to be asked to solve if you're hired.
Okay.
I hire people to solve problems, not to sit in a chair and collect a paycheck and drink Coke Zero and whatnot. It's to solve specific problems.
Right.
And that is just something. It's just, for some reason, it's easier just to post the same generic crap again and again, and it's called post and pray for a reason. And you post the job, and companies just pray to God, pray that somebody good will apply. Whereas if they were to make things more performance-based, and my buddy Lou Adler's been talking about this for years. He and I have been talking about this for years. Talk about the performances that are required to be a superstar on the job. If you're an accountant, why is this? What problems will you be asked to solve that need to be solving? To take it even more, and this is where a job seeker can question a recruiter or a hiring manager, is you say, what specific problems that are on your plate right now are keeping you awake at night?
Right.
Because those are the problems that you're going to be asked to solve. And if you can solve the problems that keep a manager awake at night, well, you're going to help them sleep. And a manager who gets a lot of sleep is often a happy manager.
That's true. So if I'm a job seeker, let's play devil's advocate, and I know you're good at playing that, right?
Yeah, the roles are reversed now.
Yeah. So I'm a job seeker, and so you're telling me that we have basically an incomplete job description. So what would your advice be from a recruiter standpoint for the job seeker to get the real meaty stuff about what kinds of things they would actually be expected to do, what challenges? That's
a good question, and this is it's something, for some reason, this isn't taught terribly well, and I don't know why. Let's say let's say a job is posted somewhere, and the actual recruiter is listed there. If the job description only talks about the tasks that the job entails, well, then and you don't see anything discernible about a specific problem, reach out to them. I mean, seriously. I mean, ask them. Look. I'm glad you're hiring, but before I, send you my resume and we become all buddy. Do you know what problems keep the hiring manager awake at night? You can ask it like that, because I mean, you're looking from the job description. You could be looking for any old accountant, but I know you're not looking for any old accountant. You're looking for someone who can solve specific problems. What are they? And then
what happens when you have a recruiter that doesn't really know what they're sorry, phone was going off. So what happens if you have a recruiter who really isn't, I guess, up with it? I guess. So maybe they didn't take the time to really understand their client's needs, so they really don't have an answer for the job. Because there's going to be some good recruiters that are really integrated in with their client, really have a sense of the culture and the challenges and things like that. But there's also going to be some recruiters that, frankly, aren't really
douchebags.
So we have a little bit of both. There's good job seekers and bad job seekers. We have some good recruiters and maybe some bad ones too.
Well, you're sort of you're putting all recruiters into a big lump. There are in-house recruiters and there are out-house recruiters. Agency recruiters, sorry, not out-house recruiters.
Not outhouse.
Not asset recruiters. Depending on the role, look, it's somebody. Even though agency recruiters, and it's anathema to me why, when given a quote job order, an agency recruiter doesn't press for the specific problems. Look, you have two choices. You can ask them. You ask them if they say, they can either say, "Let me find out," or they can get, defensive and say, "Well, this is what it is." I've come up against recruiters who say it is what it is. I say that I get asked for this, so I get asked for referrals. Who do you know who does this? And you know me, I call people up when they send these things. And I've had many recruiters say, look, well, I can't tell you the name of my client. Well, I'll say, well, I can't help you because I need to know if they're going to be a fit or not. And if you don't know what specific problems they are, how can I tell you somebody who's appropriate?
Right.
And so, folks will either respond in one of two ways. They'll say, let me find out for you, or I'm sorry. And in my case, and I say, well, then you're going to lose out on some great people because you don't get how to recruit. I say those things. I mean, I can say that. Right. But in the same way, if you are paying money for a service, say you're flying on an airline, you're going to a grocery store, or going to any market, and you're getting crappy customer service, and that's what crappy customer service is when recruiters don't give you the information you need to make an informed decision. You complain to somebody. So if a recruiter doesn't know, but let's say it's for a company, I'm going to go right to LinkedIn, and I'm going to see, if this is for an accountant position, I'm going to find out who a manager of accounting is, and I'm going to connect and ask them.
Really?
Yes.
So what happens? Because there's a delicate relationship between recruiters and their client companies, and if a candidate goes around, then
well, again, you just confuse. Again, you brought the outhouse recruiters into the in-house.
Yeah, right.
Again, if it's in the case, I'm going to tell a little trick here how to find out who the actual company is. But let's work on the company side first.
Okay.
If a company recruiter is going to get a hair up their ass because you went around them to try to find the real information so you can make your informed decision, too damn bad. I'd rather have the manager happy at me and the recruiter pissed off at me than the other way around.
That's true. That's true.
So I don't have an issue. On the outside, what you can do is, more often than not, an agency recruiter will just copy the company's job description and then put their header on it. If you copy one line, a big kind of as technical a line as possible from that job description, and then Google it, you'll often go back to the actual company.
Right.
And once you're at that company, then you can go to the hiring manager game through LinkedIn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So another question for you. Now I want to circle back to your comment about reaching out directly to the recruiter. So, is there a good way? I mean, how would be the best way for job seekers to reach out to recruiters? Because I think a lot of people are so intimidated, they're afraid. Sometimes it says no calls or something like that. I mean,
you know what that means? That just means that the recruiter just cut and paste what they've been cutting and pasting 1,000 times before.
Right.
Newsflash to my recruiter friends on listening to this Hangout: your job is to speak to people. Okay? It is not to screen them. You are not a bouncer at a nightclub. Got it? Here's a problem.
But I'm going to drill down to this because the job seekers really are a little unsure about exactly how to reach out. So what would be your advice? What would be an acceptable? I mean, obviously there's a million different ways, but I'm a job seeker. I'm sort of interested. I want to make sure this is a match before I waste your time and my time, right? So we need to find out. I need a little bit more information. So what are some of the better examples of how people have reached out to you that have gotten your attention and made you feel as though they were really trying to find a good match and help you out while helping themselves out?
Well, I learned a long time ago. I don't remember who it was, but someone just took the. Well, again, I might be a little different since I'm kind of my information is out there. I was about to say I was out there, but I'm afraid too many people will comment on Twitter about that. You can there are ways to find out someone's email. It's not. What is wrong with honesty these days? Just literally, just reach out to people.
Mm-hmm.
Someone say, Dawn, I noticed you're looking for a for a manager, a marketing manager for the Latin American region, based out of either Sao Paulo or Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Then you write something, because you actually read it was fluent in 3 languages. You now write a paragraph in Spanish, a paragraph in Portuguese, and a paragraph in English.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hooked.
Yeah.
I am hooked.
So you're saying don't be afraid. So
don't
be afraid and just reach out from the gut, basically.
Dawn, when you asked your husband to marry him, because I'm thinking you probably did. Oh, fine. Well, fine. So he had in his he said he was saying he knew, he figured, what's the worst that can happen? Dawn says no.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go back to living in the mountains of Montana, living off bison and buffalo and stuff like that. What's the worst thing that someone can do?
No, they can say no.
They can say no.
Mm-hmm.
If they say no.
Right.
What's the big deal?
Yeah.
Don't. It's not a knock on your ego.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you do it professionally, show me a little bit of what's your special. That's what I wrote in a blog post yesterday. Call me madam. I love it when people send me emails and say dear sir or madam, as if they're looking for a job at the Alien 51 cat house in Nevada. That would be a whorehouse for you people, in case you were wondering.
Right.
And I only know because I Googled it. But come on, man, what's the worst that can happen? They just say no.
Mm-hmm.
Big deal. Move on to something else. But show me what your special is.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has something special. Don't just parrot back the crap that's in your resume. What's your special?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know what your special is, start asking people who know you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to ask them, give me your special. As long as it's special, and again, I tend to speak to more people than others, but I know the people that you and I know, a lot of folks are on this Hangout, other folks will be retweeting it. As gruff as some might be, animal, they're actually softies at heart, and they do these things because we know that we have a problem in our profession.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how I always get back on that bully pulpit. But again, just be honest. Just reach out to me. Show me your special. Tell me that. Look, I did some research. I found out where you won this award, but you're in Gartner's Magic Quadrant report. But you have a different position from last year. Let's talk about it. What kind of things happen? Do some research.
Right.
Wow me and
Mm-hmm.
wow yourself.
Okay,
Yeah.
well that's good. So now I have another question for you. So you touched on it a little bit about your cover letter, Dear Madame. So true or false, is it, well, let's just, true or false, there is no excuse for people not to have personalized cover letters or personalized emails when they're applying for jobs?
Yeah, there's no excuse.
Okay, so explain. I have some ideas, but I want to hear what you have.
No, yeah. Well, look, I'm really good at digging and finding out names and stuff like that. But put an effort. First, put an effort to see if you can find out the name of the person. If it's an agency recruiter, that should be pretty easy because the agency recruiters like putting their names out. If it's a company recruiter and you're not quite sure. Sorry, I'm also checking emails that are coming in. Fabulous, that's good. If there's no name there, go to LinkedIn, find out who the head of recruiting is. Use their name.
Mm-hmm.
What's the worst that can happen?
Right.
And it just shows you just, believe it or not, using my name and writing something about me that might be, fun. The first line. It's scary to think that differentiates people, but it does.
Like what?
No. Look, when I see,
besides Dear Madame,
dear sir or madam, when I see to whom it may concern.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's when I hear dear recruiting professional, that always makes me laugh. And I get that because it's the word professional that makes me laugh. You know, the assumption that all recruiters are professional. That's like one of the funniest jokes I've heard. I'll hear all year. And you would be surprised how many emails I get that say, "Dear Bob." My name is Steve, okay? It's not Bob. Or just simply hi. Nothing says personalized more than hi.
Right.
Because we know they're just slamming crap out and hoping that something, you know, what again, companies post and pray. Job candidates tend to post, spray, they spray and pray.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So again, a little bit goes a long way. In fact, what I need to do is the presentation I did at SourceCon on engaging candidates can easily be turned around and turned into a how to write substantially better cover letters. And again, even though in all my 28 years of recruiting, I only remember one cover letter.
Really?
So you know, they're either going to be this one was just hilarious and relatively short.
Mm-hmm.
So relatively short, I might read it, but it's still the cover letter is the fourth thing I read.
But it can factor in, and
it might. It's never been the reason for a hire.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a reason for a let me dig a little bit more about this person, because the fact is, and this is an important thing to know, despite all the great resume writers out there on the planet, most are bad.
Mm-hmm.
They just are. And you know, you and I have spoken for a couple of years now on this topic, and you know, there's nothing special. It's just it's frightening how many job seekers still are taught to write a laundry list resume.
Mm-hmm.
It's frightening how many of them say they're detail oriented and responsible for references we furnished upon request. You know, no shit. It just goes on and on and on. Or I see the emails. You know, hotpiggy6969 at hotmail.com. I mean, the dumbest things. Or you know, we do look at your social media footprint. You know, I will look at your resume first, and if something looks good there, I'm going to go to your profile. If your profile looks the same as your resume, I'm going to go, something's weird here. Then I'm going to go online to find stuff about you.
Yeah.
Then I'll get to the cover letter, maybe.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. People ask me, so do people read cover letters or not? And I say yes, they do and they don't. So in what phase in the job, application process, it depends on whoever the audience is. And some people are adamant, they're old school, and they expect it. I always tell job seekers, where it factors into the hiring manager or recruiter's part of the process depends on the individual. But if you don't include it, then that could be problematic, because if you hit that one person that did expect it and you didn't send one, then you've shot yourself in the foot. So it's not on the way yet, but it is something that can factor, and some of the ATS systems actually gobble those things up too. So
again, the ATS does not have any human qualities.
No.
They're not gobbled up by ATSs. they're not gobbled up. I can say it
again.
They're not even spit out. They're not even farted out. Nothing. Okay. They're just, the thing to remember is that, and I'm actually going to go to good old Green Chili Addict on Twitter, who we know as Ed. Ed is a good friend of ours.
Yeah.
He tweeted out, "There's no excuse for not having a personal cover letter." I want to amend that and said a short personal cover letter.
Mm-hmm.
Again, most the good recruiters I know, the ones that I pal around with, we actually do read the entire resume. I can't. I'm a fast reader. I can't do a 6-second scan. I have to read your resume, because there's always gold hidden in there. You don't know how to write it well. Most people have not had folks like you to help and write it and get things into a performance-oriented role of focus. And so I've got to read the resume and look for reasons to include them. I think the problem that the profession has is that way too many people read resumes, scan resumes to exclude the candidate.
Right.
Because, oh my God, look, I've got 50 resumes. How am I going to cull these down? I got to get that down to 5 quickly. No. And I'm guaranteeing you that there's great talent that's being missed because of that tactic. I'm telling you right now, I'm actually recruiting now for a marketing manager in Latin America, based either in Sao Paulo or Miami. And one of my tactics is I post it up on LinkedIn because I have to do it. Right now, I am looking at I have 150. Let me see to go through. Good. I have 161 that I have got to go through, and I will read every blessed one of them. Okay, that's why I'm not going to read the cover letters. I'm going to read these first, and then I'll call them down.
Right. Exactly.
Back to you, kiddo. What's up? Next.
Well, I'm just trying to think what else. What really steams your broccoli about job seekers when they're? No,
I'm just going. Ed just tweeted out amended a short personal.
Yes. But what really steams your broccoli about some of the stupid things that job seekers do? I mean, we don't have an hour to go through all that, but
yeah,
how are they being their own obstacles? I think that from your perspective. So top 5 things.
That salutation.
Yeah.
It's like the show. What was it? What was the thing with the Show Me the Money? What was the movie? You had me at hello.
Oh yeah.
You're screwed up at hello.
Right.
I mean, the dear sir or madam, to whom it may concern, dear recruiting professional, dear hiring manager, dear Bob. It's Steve. Okay, it's Steve, not Bob. I'm just going like this person is already got one foot in the grave. They're going to have to do something. Something's going to have to be there to get them out of it.
Do you think it's just because people are lazy, or they just don't know the tools available to dig that stuff up, or what's the problem here?
It's not laziness at all. It's part of it might be learned helplessness. Because I'm in a profession where unfortunately most people don't think twice about getting back to people one way or the other. I'm swamped now, and I'm late on getting back to some people, but I'll get back to everybody.
Right.
I will, and there'll be a mea culpa, and because it has to be. I mean, there are only so many hours in a day to read through things, and you have to prioritize. And every recruiting leader goes through this. I think that the litigious side of society means we don't want to give people the real reasons why we didn't but if you focus on performance is always is an easy bit of feedback to give. All your work is in this specific area. Okay, we're doing this. You've done all your work in oil and gas. We're software development.
Right.
Okay? Amongst other things, that's not. They don't go. They don't mix like oil and water.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
Right.
And right now I'm tasked with finding someone who does this right now. I'm sure you understand that. That's honesty. People, if you give them that, they'll understand.
Right.
I think there's a fear in recruiting that at least if we tell people nothing, they won't have anything to go to their lawyers with.
Right.
Which is just stupid, because if you document everything, you put it in an email, it's kind of clear in almost every case, of what the story is. What else do they do? They get these inane articles that are saying, there are no jobs out there, no one's hiring. You get these articles all the time put in these great literary works of news like the New York Post. which for those who don't, the New York Post, it's a Rupert Murdoch publication here in New York. Honestly, great sports section, actually very good business section, but it's like, TMZ on steroids in every other fashion.
So what else? What are a couple more things? We're going to wrap up here pretty quick. But what are a couple more things that people do when they're reaching out or interacting with recruiters that are probably not the best steps?
If a recruiter gives you a time frame, you have to listen. Again, when I pick up the phone and I talk to people. If I say I'm not sure, let me get back to you. Don't keep me on the phone and trying to sell yourself. I do know once I've gotten you on the phone, I get a pretty good sense of what I'm looking for. I'll tell you, but you don't have to send me follow-up upon follow-up upon follow-up upon follow-up.
Right.
I give people.
Overkill.
I tell people that I give everyone my contact information. I say you're free to reach out to me, and people do. But it's funny and I think more recruiters should do that. If you actually give out the contact information and you tell people, I don't mind if you call me, fewer will call or contact you than you realize. Because they're like, okay, they're sharing me now. I have to be judicious in how I use it. I think a secret is, and if more job seekers did this, we'd have a much better recruiting environment. If you're applying for a certain job, look at the other jobs that the company is trying to fill. And when you reach out to me, you say, look, I also noticed you're looking for a salesperson in this person. Have you seen this person's profile? I've known them for many years. So you're helping me.
Right.
Or is to go from Jerry Maguire, help me help you.
Right.
So if more recruiters and really did, say, look, I know you're looking for this. Is this person on your radar screen? Oh, believe me, I will remember you.
Yeah.
I will remember you. So it's not just what's in it for me. Show me how we can make this a relationship.
And that kind of goes back to being successful at networking, because this is also part of that is, giving, not asking all the time. It's like you were just saying, help me help you. So if the job seekers can do it in a tactful way so they're not sucking up, I guess. That's
look, it is sucking up. And I know it's
sucking up, but without...
But I don't care it's sucking up. But that's not something, it's job search is almost one-sided the way it's taught everywhere. Instead of, we're a big community here, and there's a fellow who's tweeting, and I like Martin Cernak. He's over there in Eastern Europe, but he's also tweeting about the Hangout. They're helpful. I mean, there are people like that are helpful. All the folks who signed up agreed to sign up to this thing, whether they're on it or not. They get it that job search and recruiting is a two-way street. You can't have one without the other. And if it were taught, if that symbiotic relationship were taught in career centers,
yes,
that would make things a whole lot better. Look, I'm just wondering, have you maybe you didn't know, but there's an association I belong to. I mean, throw those things out into the actual cover letters.
Right.
And only an absolute dolt recruiter wouldn't take you up on that and remember you.
Right.
Which means there are a lot of dolt recruiters, but anyway.
Oh gosh. Well, I should probably wrap this up. You dropped a number of nuggets of wisdom here, Steve. I really appreciate it. And do you have any closing words? I mean, tell me. So you work at Kaltura, and
yeah. I work at Kaltura. It's KALTURA.com. Our career page is up to date. Yes, I was working on Friday. It's up to date. The company is in the online video space. It's if you look at the Google Kaltura Magic Quadrant 2014, you'll see that we came out better than last year. on the report. We are in the market-leading sector. The company is 8 years old. We're not going to BS. We have our growing pains. I'm more than welcome and free to. I will talk about. People know I do talk about our growing pains, but we're looking for around the world. People with specific. Because we're still relatively young, we're probably not going to hire the folks in the oil and gas right now. But within the certain video technology space, reach out to me, and as you know, I will return your emails and phone calls. Right.
Awesome. And how can they reach you?
Well, they can reach me at a few things. They can read my blog, which is recruitinginferno.com, which is just a slightly offhand view of the world. You can follow me on Twitter. I am Levy Recruits, Levy Recruits on Twitter, and on Kaltura, my email is steve.levy@kaltura.com. Or they can just ask you for my phone number.
Oh yeah.
And this is nice. I've met Dawn in person a few times. This is like the first time I've ever seen her wear makeup.
Oh, shut up. Thanks, Steve. On that note, I'm going to close this out before
I say anything else.
Yeah, you just see my pictures on Facebook from me hiking and backpacking, so that's.
I've also had a couple of beers with you too, so that's.
Yeah, that's you. All right, well, thanks everybody for attending today, and we'll be posting this up. I'll send the link to Steve, and he can get that out, and I'll get it out through my channels too. But thanks for watching, and hopefully that answered some questions, and maybe perhaps raised some more. So we'll have another hangout next month. I'll be working on the guest for that one. It'll probably be mid-November, so I'll send that out later on. But thanks for joining us. Take care.
Happy hunting all.